The morning sunlight streamed through the cracks of the curtains, spilling warmth onto the room where Alex sat, clutching a worn journal. The pages were filled with dreams, visions of a life far removed from the one they were living. Each scribble was a whisper of ambition, a desperate yearning to escape the monotony and step into a reality bursting with meaning, abundance, and joy. For years, Alex had felt a quiet pull, an unshakable sense that life held something greater, something extraordinary just beyond the horizon. It wasn't about greed or ego. It was about purpose, a deeply rooted need to grow, to become. The first step had been acknowledging that yearning. That alone felt monumental, like a key turning in a long-forgotten lock. Every word written in that journal was a commitment, a declaration to the universe. I am ready for more. As Alex closed the journal, a ripple of determination coursed through their body. They didn't know how the journey would unfold or what obstacles lay ahead, but the call was undeniable. The small room, the routines that had once provided comfort, now felt confining. It wasn't enough anymore. The world outside called, vibrant and full of promise, as if daring Alex to take that first step into the unknown. It was in that quiet yet powerful moment of resolve that the story truly began. A desire had been planted, one that would set into motion a series of events beyond anything Alex could have imagined. Little did they know the universe was already listening. The following days felt different, as though the air carried a subtle shift. Alex noticed it in the small things, how strangers offered warm smiles, how opportunities seemed to present themselves, unbidden but perfectly timed. It was as if the journal, now a sacred artifact, had whispered Alex's dreams to the universe, and the universe had begun to answer. One afternoon, while walking through a bustling city square, Alex stumbled upon a flyer pinned to a lamppost. Its edges fluttered in the breeze, but the bold words at the top caught Alex's attention. Unlock your potential, free workshop this weekend. There was a strange magnetism to it, as though the flyer had been waiting for Alex to pass by at that exact moment. Doubt flickered briefly. Could something so simple truly matter? But hope overrode hesitation. Alex tucked the flyer into their pocket, feeling a quiet thrill build in their chest. The workshop wasn't grand, just a small room filled with a dozen other seekers, each carrying their own version of hope. But the speaker's words struck a chord, like an echo of Alex's own thoughts. The moment you choose to believe in your vision, the universe conspires to make it real. But belief alone isn't enough. You must act. As the session ended, Alex lingered, taking in the hum of possibility that seemed to fill the space. For the first time in years, the fog of doubt and complacency had lifted. The world didn't feel so indifferent anymore. Walking home that evening, Alex couldn't shake the sense that this was more than a coincidence. It felt like a nudge, a confirmation that the journey had truly begun. Each step on the pavement was lighter, buoyed by the fragile yet exhilarating sense of hope. The universe had given its first response, a gentle breath of encouragement. Alex knew it was only the beginning, but for now, that breath of hope was enough to keep moving forward. The first cracks in Alex's newfound hope appeared almost imperceptibly. It began with small inconveniences. Missed buses, forgotten appointments, a surprising expense that drained their already tight budget. At first, Alex brushed these off as mere bad luck. But as the days unfolded, the challenges began to stack, each one heavier than the last. One morning, Alex arrived at work only to find a pile of urgent tasks waiting on their desk, a mountain of demands impossible to climb in a single day. The stress gnawed at the edges of Alex's optimism. The spark of hope that had been burning so brightly started to dim, replaced by a creeping sense of frustration. "What's the point?" Alex muttered under their breath, slamming a drawer shut harder than intended. The words stung in the air, a painful echo of the doubts they thought they had left behind. It wasn't just work. Relationships began to feel strained too. Friends seemed distant, preoccupied with their own lives, and even casual conversations carried a weight Alex couldn't pinpoint. Every interaction felt like wading through quicksand. Then came the email, a rejection from a program Alex had applied to weeks ago, one they had hoped might be a stepping stone toward the life they envisioned. Reading the curt words on the screen felt like a punch to the gut. Alex closed the laptop, staring at the blank wall ahead. A quiet voice in the back of Alex's mind whispered that this was a test. But another, louder voice argued back, maybe this isn't a test. Maybe this is just life showing you that you were foolish to dream. That night, lying awake in the dark, Alex wrestled with a storm of emotions. Anger, doubt, fear. But beneath it all, a question lingered. Was all of this falling apart to make way for something greater? Or was it simply the unraveling of hope? The path to dreams had taken an unexpected turn, and for the first time, Alex began to wonder if they were strong enough to keep going. As the days wore on, Alex began to notice a baffling pattern. Every effort to move closer to their dreams seemed to yield the opposite result. Striving for financial stability brought unexpected expenses. Seeking connection left Alex feeling isolated. Even small victories were overshadowed by new setbacks, as though life itself were conspiring against their intentions. Sitting in a cramped cafe one rainy evening, Alex stared into a cup of lukewarm coffee. The world outside was a blur of gray, mirroring the confusion swirling in their mind. Why did the pursuit of something better feel so much harder than staying stagnant? It was almost comical. A few weeks ago, hope had felt like a rising tide, lifting Alex toward the life they longed for. Now, it was as if the universe had flipped a switch, throwing obstacles in every direction. The harder Alex tried to make sense of it, the more elusive the answers became. On the way home, an old man with a weathered face and kind eyes approached Alex at the bus stop. "You look troubled," he said, his voice calm but probing. Alex hesitated, then blurted out, "I'm trying to move forward, but everything's pushing me back. It's like life is mocking me." The man chuckled softly. "Life's not mocking you. It's testing you." He tapped his cane lightly against the pavement. "Sometimes the universe gives you the opposite of what you want, not to deny you, but to prepare you. To ask if you're truly ready for what you're asking for." Before Alex could respond, the bus pulled up, and the old man disappeared into the crowd. His words lingered, an echo that followed Alex all the way home. That night, lying in bed, Alex replayed the encounter over and over, grappling with the possibility that every challenge, every contradiction, might be part of a larger design. Could it be true? Could the very struggles they were cursing be the key to unlocking the life they sought? The thought was both maddening and oddly comforting, leaving Alex caught in the enigma of the opposite. The morning after the encounter at the bus stop, Alex woke with the old man's words still echoing in their mind. Life wasn't mocking them, it was testing them. It was a thought that felt both profound and deeply unsettling. As Alex went about the day, there was a growing sense that every frustration, every obstacle wasn't random. It was personal, like a mirror held up by the universe itself. At lunch, Alex found a quiet park bench and sat, gazing at the world moving around them. A jogger passed by, then a group of children laughing as they chased each other. For a fleeting moment, Alex wondered, what is this world reflecting back at me? It was then that a realization struck, a memory from years ago, buried under the weight of time. Back then, Alex had longed for success but had secretly harbored doubts, a fear of failure that lingered in the background of every decision. Those doubts had never been confronted, only pushed aside. Could it be that the struggles now were pulling those fears to the surface, demanding attention? Later, back at home, Alex stood in front of the mirror, staring at their reflection. It wasn't just the physical image staring back. It was a deeper recognition. Each obstacle felt like a reflection of the fears, insecurities, and old habits that Alex had carried for years. The universe wasn't punishing them. It was asking them to see themselves fully. The thought was overwhelming. It meant that the world outside was an extension of the world inside, that every difficulty was a question. Are you ready to grow? Are you prepared to shed the parts of yourself that no longer serve your dreams? Alex exhaled deeply, feeling a strange mix of relief and responsibility. The challenges hadn't disappeared, but they no longer felt meaningless. They were a dialogue, a reflection of the inner work still to be done. For the first time in weeks, Alex felt a flicker of understanding. The universe was a mirror, and its tests weren't meant to break them. They were meant to reveal what needed to change. The progress Alex had made felt real but fragile, like walking across a glass bridge that could crack with one misstep. There was a sense of clarity now about the universe's tests, but clarity didn't make the trials any easier. In fact, as Alex began to confront the fears and habits reflected back at them, the resistance grew louder, more insistent. It began in subtle ways. Old doubts whispered in Alex's mind, growing louder in the quiet moments. "You're not strong enough for this. Who do you think you are, reaching for more?" At first, Alex tried to ignore these thoughts, but they seemed to grow stronger, like a storm gathering strength. One afternoon, after a particularly rough day at work, Alex found themselves sitting on the edge of the bed, overwhelmed by the weight of it all. Their journal lay open on the nightstand, the words written weeks ago now mocking in their optimism. "Is this what growth looks like?" Alex muttered bitterly, the frustration bubbling to the surface. The resistance wasn't just internal. External pressures began to mount as well. Unexpected bills arrived, friendships grew tense, and moments of synchronicity that had once felt like signs of hope now felt like distant memories. It was as though the old life, the one Alex was trying so desperately to leave behind, was clawing to keep its grip. One evening, Alex's phone buzzed with a message from an old friend they hadn't heard from in years. The message was casual, but as the conversation unfolded, it became clear the friend wanted to relive their wild, carefree days together. Days filled with distraction and avoidance of responsibility. Alex hesitated. Part of them longed to say yes, to slip back into the comfort of the familiar, if only for a night. But another part knew that saying yes would be like opening the door to the past, inviting it to stay. Alex stood at a crossroads. The pull of the old self was powerful, a force that begged for the simplicity of who they had been. But deep down, Alex knew. The old self wasn't fighting for survival because it was strong. It was fighting because it was dying. The choice was clear. Alex declined the invitation, closed the journal, and turned out the light. As they lay in the darkness, heart heavy but resolute, Alex understood that resistance wasn't failure. It was proof of transformation in progress. The old self wasn't going quietly, but Alex wasn't backing down. The weeks that followed were relentless. Every step forward felt met with 2 steps back, and Alex was running out of strength to keep pushing. The flicker of hope that had guided them through the initial challenges now seemed like a cruel trick, dangling just out of reach. One cold evening, after a long and grueling day, Alex trudged home in silence. The streets were slick with rain, the city lights distorted in the puddles beneath their feet. By the time Alex reached the apartment, they felt empty, the kind of exhaustion that goes beyond the physical. Inside, the apartment was eerily quiet. Alex dropped their bag by the door and collapsed onto the couch. Their journal sat on the coffee table, untouched for days. They couldn't bring themselves to open it. Not now, not when everything they had written in its pages felt so far away. The breaking point came in a single moment of release. Alex's chest tightened, and the tears came suddenly, without warning. Every frustration, every rejection, every fear they had tried to suppress poured out in heavy sobs. "Why is this so hard?" Alex cried out, the words echoing in the empty room. "I've done everything right. I've tried to grow, to change. What else am I supposed to do?" The silence that followed was deafening. Alex sat there, head in their hands, utterly drained. For the first time, the thought of giving up felt real. It wasn't just a fleeting doubt, it was a tempting escape. In that fragile moment, Alex's mind raced with questions. Had they been foolish to dream so big? Was the universe indifferent to their efforts, or worse, actively working against them? The weight of uncertainty was crushing, and for a fleeting second, Alex considered letting it all go, abandoning the pursuit, the growth, the fight. But then, amidst the chaos of their thoughts, something shifted. A faint memory surfaced, unbidden. The old man at the bus stop and his quiet, knowing voice. "The universe isn't mocking you. It's testing you, The words settled over Alex like a lifeline, pulling them back from the edge. It wasn't clarity, not yet, but it was enough to keep them sitting there a little longer. Enough to remind them that even at their breaking point, something deeper was unfolding. Alex wiped their face with trembling hands, their breathing slowly steadying. The questions hadn't disappeared, and the weight hadn't lifted. But in the quiet aftermath of their breakdown, Alex felt something stir, an ember of resilience, faint but undeniable. The breaking point hadn't broken them. Not completely. The days following Alex's breaking point were quiet but heavy with thought. The storm inside had subsided, leaving behind a strange stillness. It was in this space, this pause between despair and action, that the seeds of understanding began to take root. One afternoon, Alex found themselves walking through a nearby park. The air was crisp, the kind of chill that sharpened the senses. The path wound through clusters of towering trees, their bare branches reaching toward the pale sky. Alex walked without direction, lost in thought, when their eyes caught sight of a single tree standing apart. Its branches were twisted, gnarled from years of battling the elements, yet its roots were thick and strong, anchoring it firmly in the soil. A single bud peeked from the end of one branch, a fragile promise of life to come. Alex paused, staring at the tree, and felt a deep resonance. Growth wasn't easy. The tree's twisted form wasn't a sign of weakness but of resilience. Each scar on its bark told a story of survival, each bend a testament to its refusal to break. In that moment, Alex realized something they hadn't fully grasped before. Growth wasn't supposed to be smooth or effortless. It was messy, painful, and often confusing, but it was also transformative. The universe hadn't been punishing Alex. Every challenge, every setback, had been shaping them, forcing them to confront the parts of themselves that weren't ready for the life they desired. The tests weren't barriers. They were the chisels shaping Alex into someone who could hold their dreams without crumbling under their weight. Standing before that tree, Alex felt the truth settle into their bones. The process of manifestation wasn't about the destination. It was about becoming the person capable of living that reality. For the first time in weeks, Alex felt a genuine sense of peace. The struggles hadn't vanished, and the path ahead was still uncertain. But now there was clarity. The universe was never working against them. It was working with them, asking them to grow, to rise, to transform. Alex reached out and gently touched the rough bark of the tree. "I see it now," they whispered softly. "I understand." As Alex turned to leave the park, the weight they'd been carrying felt lighter. There was still work to do, but for the first time, Alex felt truly ready to embrace the journey. Not as a fight, but as a process of becoming. Alex's days began to change, not because the challenges disappeared, but because their approach to them had shifted. Each morning, they woke with a quiet determination, a sense that every moment, no matter how small or difficult, held purpose. The weight of doubt no longer hung so heavily. It was replaced by curiosity, a willingness to engage with life's tests instead of resisting them. At work, Alex faced a particularly demanding project, one that once would have triggered frustration and overwhelm. But this time, there was a calm resolve. Instead of reacting to the chaos, Alex paused, taking deliberate steps to address each task with focus. As the hours passed, something remarkable began to happen. A colleague, noticing Alex's composure, offered to assist. Another chimed in with a suggestion that streamlined the process. The project, which had seemed insurmountable, was completed not by brute force but by collaboration and intention. It wasn't just work that shifted. Alex started to see subtle changes in their personal life too. Conversations with friends felt deeper, more genuine. Connections that had felt strained began to repair themselves, not through forced effort, but through Alex's newfound openness. By choosing to listen more and judge less, Alex noticed how the energy of the relationships began to align with the person they were becoming. One evening, Alex returned to the journal, flipping through its pages. The words from weeks ago felt like echoes of a different person, a version of themselves that had dreamed of change but hadn't yet understood the cost of transformation. Now, as Alex wrote, the tone was different. Each sentence carried the weight of experience and the lightness of hope. One particular entry stood out, written in bold, deliberate handwriting. I am not just waiting for the universe to align. I am aligning with the universe. The new perspective brought a profound realization. Life wasn't happening to Alex. It was happening with Alex. Each challenge was a co-creation, a chance to step further into the person they were meant to be. As the days turned into weeks, Alex began to notice small synchronicities. A book they'd been meaning to read appeared on sale at a local store. An unexpected email brought a new opportunity, perfectly aligned with their goals. It was as though the universe, sensing Alex's growth, had started to respond in kind. The journey wasn't perfect. There were still moments of doubt, of hesitation. But now, those moments felt like waves, temporary and passing, rather than overwhelming floods. Alex was learning to ride them with grace, trusting that each crest and trough carried its own lesson. The path ahead was still unfolding, but Alex walked it with a renewed sense of purpose. They weren't just chasing a dream anymore. They were living the transformation, one step at a time. The day Alex had been working toward arrived quietly, without fanfare. There was no sudden revelation or dramatic climax. Only the subtle, undeniable sense that something had shifted. The struggles that once felt insurmountable were now stepping stones in the rearview mirror. The goals Alex had written in the journal, the ones that once seemed impossibly far, had come into focus, real and tangible. It started with a single, unmistakable moment. The email. Sitting at their desk, Alex stared at the screen in disbelief, reading and rereading the message. It was an offer, an opportunity that aligned perfectly with their dreams. The kind of breakthrough they had longed for, but this time it didn't feel like a gift from the universe. Felt earned. The weeks that followed were a blur of progress and fulfillment. Alex stepped into the new role, the new life, with a confidence that wasn't born of luck but of transformation. Every challenge they had faced, every test the universe had presented, had prepared them for this. But the most profound victory wasn't external. It was the way Alex carried themselves now, with quiet assurance and a deeper understanding of what it meant to truly live. The old doubts, though not entirely gone, had been replaced by a voice that spoke with clarity. You are enough. You are capable. As the new chapter unfolded, Alex found themselves looking back not with regret, but with gratitude. The struggles had been necessary. The breaking points had been turning points. Each test had been a question, and each response had shaped the person Alex had become. One evening, Alex sat by the window, the journal open on their lap. The page was blank, but their mind was full of thoughts. This time, the writing wasn't about chasing dreams. It was about sharing the lessons learned. Alex's journey had been personal, but they knew it wasn't unique. Somewhere, someone else was at their own breaking point, questioning whether to keep going. And so, Alex began to write, their words flowing with a mix of honesty and hope. It wasn't about advice or instructions. It was about showing the truth, that the path to growth was messy, that transformation demanded everything, and that it was always worth it. The journal wasn't just a record of Alex's dreams anymore. It was a gift to the world, a legacy of resilience and faith. As they closed the book and gazed out at the stars, Alex felt a quiet peace. The universe had tested them, yes, but it had also revealed their strength. And now it was their turn to reflect that light back to others.